All right, I see some people are joining. Thanks so much for tuning in to everyone today. I'm so excited to be doing this first installment of Vegan Meals on the Go, and this is session one, Breakfast While You Sleep. So today's live demo is going to feature three simple and delicious overnight oats recipes, and they are nutritious, they're flavorful, and they're really simple to prepare. And so I hope that I can give you some great options for breakfast ideas that don't take too much time to prepare, but will make sure that you have a full, nourishing, plant-based breakfast to start your day. So the whole concept behind vegan meals on the go is all about creating simple and delicious meals that you can pack on the go. So like I said, today's session is all about breakfast, where we're making 3 overnight oats recipes. Next week, we'll be going live to do noodles on the go, which will feature different types of ramen and noodle dishes that you can take on the go in mason jars. And then the final installment will be That's a Wrap, which will feature 3 very savory and delicious wrap recipes that we can cook and have prepped and ready to go, so that we're eating flavorful, interesting, nourishing vegan food to let everyone know that this lifestyle is not only nourishing and kind and compassionate, but it's also simple and it's also affordable, because I feel like those are 2 of the main setbacks that people feel, or apprehensions that people feel, when they're considering going vegan or trying out this lifestyle. So I want to give you the resources that you need to make this as simple and sustainable as possible. So I have my phone here. And I will be checking your comments throughout. So if you have questions, I'll be taking breaks throughout this workshop to see what you're saying and give you any tips and tricks you might need to make this simple for you. But I think with that said, it's a great time to get started. So like I said, we're making 3 recipes, 3 breakfast while you sleep recipes. And so I just want to go over what we'll be preparing today. If you've been checking your emails and seeing the links, I did send grocery lists for what we're going to be preparing today, but I didn't tell you the titles of the recipes because I wanted that to be a little bit of a surprise. So the 3 recipes we'll be making today are peanut butter and chia jam oats. These are so simple and flavorful. It's classic flavors that we know from growing up, but we're flipping it in a new way that makes it nutritious and not too much sugar, so it's perfect for breakfast, and lots of fresh fruit. The next dish is going to be carrot cake oats. So it's going to have all the flavors, textures, and ingredients that you love from carrot cake, but it's going to be in an oats form. And actually, I'm going to swap this one out, so you can easily use oatmeal for this recipe. But I also have this really cool product. This is quinoa. It's toasted flaked quinoa. So you can use this if you're looking to switch it up. Maybe you don't want to eat oats every morning for breakfast. We have a quinoa option as well. And then the third and final recipe will be creamy tropical oats. So this is going to have a creamy coconut oat base with chia seeds in it, and then just a nice fresh tropical fruit topping, because we're moving into the warmer months. Summer is here, and so we want you to have what you need to have some variety and lots of vitamins also. There's so much nutrients and nourishing ingredients in fruit, so we want you to be able to infuse that in your breakfast without having to, spend too much time planning it out in advance. So with that said, let's get started with our first recipe. So for these peanut butter and chia jam oats, I want to start off by making the chia berry jam. So it's really, really simple. I have here a mixing bowl, and I'm going to take mixed berries. So these are a cherry berry medley. I bought these frozen. I prefer to use frozen berries in this, not only because they're more affordable, but also because when you thaw them out, they get really soft, so they're easy to mash. They release the liquids, which gives the chia seed something to hold on to and absorb, which gives it a really nice jam texture. So this is really easy. We have about a cup of frozen mixed berries that are now thawed that we're just going to go ahead and pour into our bowl. And then before we do anything else, I'm going to grab a fork, and we're just going to mash it with the back of our fork to create more of a crushed texture. Because you see, they're whole berries. It's a mixture of blueberries, raspberries, blackberries, and cherries. And so, yeah, this is a great source of vitamins and antioxidants. Berries are really deep in color, and so that lets you know that they have a great source of antioxidants in them. I also love berries because they're really high in fiber, and they're just a great source of nutrients in the morning, and they're also lower in sugar. So they're a great way to get your fruit in and get some bang for your buck. Berries are really small but mighty, so I'm going to get that going. Mash these up. We don't want it to a pulp. I mean, it just prefers on what you like. So if you didn't want to mash your berries, you could definitely put these in a food processor or a blender and just puree them. And you would get a really nice smooth jam. But I like it a little bit chunkier. I like a nice mixture of textures in my meals in the morning to keep it interesting when I'm eating. So we're going for more of a rustic texture. Okay, so we've got our berries crushed. A lot of the blueberries are still intact. So let me get some of those crushed up. Okay, here we go. So here we have it. Our berries are crushed and they've released a lot of liquid. So now I'm going to add about a tablespoon of agave nectar, maybe closer to a teaspoon, because the berries are naturally sweet. So you don't really need that much added sweetness, but it does, you know, help for the flavors to carry through. So we've added our agave nectar. And now we're going to add about 3 tablespoons of chia seeds. So chia seeds are another small but mighty superfood nutrient powerhouse. They have lots of omegas that we need for our nutrition. They're really high in fiber. And if you've noticed, when they soak up liquid, they start to have a gel-like consistency. So that makes it really great for our digestion, but also for our joints. So chia seeds are something I love to incorporate whenever I can, especially in my breakfast. I definitely throw them into smoothies, smoothie bowls. If I'm making granola or something at home, I love to do that. So yeah, here we go. We've got our chia seeds nicely incorporated, and we're just going to let this sit. You're going to be shocked if you've never worked with chia seeds before. You're going to be shocked to see how quickly they absorb the moisture and become one with the berries. So here we go. There we have it. Actually, I want to come around and show you. So there you have it. We have our berries and our chia seeds mixed together. Okay. So we're going to set that aside for the time being, and then we're going to go ahead and get into making our peanut butter oats. This is a really, really, really simple overnight oats recipe. Peanut butter is just a flavor that you can enjoy and feel like you're indulging, but it's also pretty healthy. So we're going to take our rolled oats. You could use instant oats, but I like the rolled old-fashioned oats. I don't necessarily think that steel cut oats would work for this kind of preparation. You might want to use them, but you might have to soak them a lot longer because it's just a little bit more difficult for the liquid to permeate into the grain if they're not cooked. So let me use this. So I'm going to use 1 cup of rolled oats. Oh, actually, I'm doing this in the wrong order. Let's do this in the right order. So I tested this recipe and I actually learned that this trick helps everything mix together a lot easier. So what we're actually going to start off with is our peanut butter. We're going to use 2 tablespoons of peanut butter. And I'm referring to a recipe here, but you will be getting access to this recipe after this cooking demo is over so that you can have this recipe to cook for yourself. These are postcard size recipes so that you can definitely print them off. Or just save the PDF and be able to pull it up on your phone or on your laptop, whatever you need. So we're going to do about 2 tablespoons of peanut butter here. Okay. Nice. And then we're going to add a 1/4 cup of the almond milk. Now we want the peanut butter to get smooth. And so when you add too much liquid to the peanut butter, it gets a little lumpy. So you want to add your liquid gradually so that it stirs out smoothly. So 1/4 cup of almond milk. Nice. Set that down. We're just going to mix that together until smooth. So in the comments, if you're watching, please let me know, have you ever made overnight oats before? How did you make them and what did you put in them? What are some of your favorite combinations? This peanut butter smells really good. And you know, we eat with all of our senses. So we eat with our eyes and we eat with our taste buds, obviously, but we eat with our nose too. So the aromas are a really good indication of if your flavors are going to be good when you're cooking. So trust your nose if you're interested in trying out some new flavor combinations. Um, you know, take use of all of your senses to, you know, be your guides when you're developing recipes. So now it's mixed in smoothly. I'm going to come around. We've got our peanut butter and our almond milk mixed together smoothly. And this is an all natural peanut butter, so it doesn't have any stabilizers or anything in it. So it's still a little bit grainy, but that's okay. Things aren't perfectly smooth when you're cooking with all natural ingredients. We're going to use 1 tablespoon of agave nectar. I'm just eyeballing it, but you can definitely rely on the specific measurements if you're more comfortable cooking that way. And then we're also going to use a ½ teaspoon of ground cinnamon. So not only does cinnamon add a really nice flavor to recipes like this, but it also helps your body to process sugar. So it's a great spice to help you regulate your blood sugar levels if you're eating something sweet. So I typically try to find ways to incorporate cinnamon into whatever I'm making when I'm using added sugar. And even when I'm eating fresh fruit, I love to sprinkle cinnamon on my apples. It's a great way to add flavor, but also help your body process the ingredients that it's taking in. So now I'm ready to add my oats. So I'm going to just try this out a bit. Okay. And then I'm going to add 1 cup of rolled oats, like I said before. So I'm using a 1/4 cup measure, so that's 4 scoops. 3 and 4. All right, so there we have it. And now we're just going to mix everything around so it's evenly coated, because we want all of the oats to be evenly coated with all the flavorful ingredients that we've added so far, the agave nectar, the peanut butter, and the cinnamon. We want to infuse flavor at every level. Even though this is simple, we want to take our time to make sure that everything is being evenly mixed in so that we can have a flavorful experience when we're eating. Okay, so now I'm going to add in an additional 1.25 cups of almond milk to this. So that's 5 of these cups, because I'm using a 1/4 cup measure. 2, 3, 4, and 5. So yes, so there's a total of 1.5 cups of almond milk in this recipe. I just want to say hi to everybody who's just tuning in. Thank you so much for watching live. This is going to be available to folks who aren't able to tune in live with us today, but it's really nice to see that you're joining today, and I hope that you're enjoying this recipe so far. If you're just tuning in, this theme of this first cooking session is breakfast while you sleep, as a part of Meals on the Go, Vegan Meals on the Go. So we're highlighting flavorful, nourishing, and simple vegan meals that can integrate seamlessly into your busy lifestyle. So I'm making 3 overnight oats recipes for you right now that you can make for yourself at home. You'll be receiving the recipes after this broadcast ends. And first up, we're working on these peanut butter and chia jam oats. So we've got all of our liquid in, and it's pretty wet still, as you can see. So through the magic of YouTube Live, we are going to show you the after of this process. So here we have our peanut butter oats and our berry chia jam that has soaked overnight. So I'm just going to go ahead and serve it up now. Each of the recipes that you'll be receiving after this broadcast makes 2 servings. So you can double it or divide it based off of whatever your preferences are. And these are generous servings. So once again, if your appetite is smaller, this might last you a little bit longer. You might be able to get 3 or 4 servings out of this. Or if you have a hefty appetite or you have different fitness or weight goals, you can eat more. So it's just follow your appetite. This is nourishing plant-based food, so you have the option to customize as you eat. So We're going to add our oats. You can see they've gotten a lot creamier. Let me show you. They've gotten a lot creamier now. They've absorbed a lot of the liquid. And the longer you soak it, the more that it's going to come together. So we're going to serve about half of this up. And of course, if you like your oats to be a little bit stiffer, you could definitely use a little bit less almond milk. Okay, so here we go. We've got that. And then even more of a greater transformation is this chia berry jam. So if you take a look, it's thickened up quite a bit. Like it's not even running when I turn the bowl to the side. So I'm going to stir it up a bit. And like I said, these chia seeds are a great source of fiber and omegas and, you know, vitamins and all these things that we need in our diet. So we want to eat our seeds, and these chia seeds are definitely a nutritional powerhouse. So I'm just going to kind of drizzle it across the top and then maybe swirl it in a little bit. Okay. And just like that, in no time, we're done with our first recipe. Let me give you a close-up. Okay, so this is our peanut butter and berry chia jam oats. Give me a thumbs up if this looks delicious to you and if you want to give this one a try. So we're going to keep this moving. We've got our first recipe done, and we're going to move right along to our next one, okay? So next up, I wanted to do something a little bit more creative, something that kind of reminds me of dessert. There's nothing more fun than having a little dessert for breakfast, I think. So we're going to make a bowl of carrot cake oats. These are really, really simple to prepare. They have quite a few ingredients, but they're pretty simple to assemble. So I don't want the amount of ingredients to, you know, dissuade you from trying it out. But if you want a simpler recipe, you can take out some things. You know, you can customize however you like. But let's get started. So this one's even a little bit more simple. For the last recipe, we had to add some of the almond milk and then stir it in with the peanut butter so it came out smooth. For this one, we can just dump everything in the bowl. So we're going to start off by measuring 1 cup of rolled oats. Again, I'm going to use this measure this time. Okay. So 1 cup of oats. This is a 1/3 cup measure, so I'm going to do 3 scoops of this. 2 and 3. Okay. And then we're going to go ahead and add in our carrot cake ingredients, right? So we're going to use a 1/2 teaspoon of cinnamon. Like I said, ground cinnamon is wonderful because it adds a nice spice to a dish you're making, great hit of flavor, but also it helps your body to process sugar. So it helps your body to digest the sugars that you're taking in effectively so that you're not going to get a sugar rush or anything like that. We're also being very moderate with the amount of added sweetener that we're putting in these recipes. But you can, once again, make adjustments based off of your lifestyle, whether you like to add added sweeteners or not. Sometimes I don't add any extra sweetener, but for this recipe, because it's inspired by dessert, I'm going to add a hint of sweetness. So now I'm going to add a 1/4 cup of a 1/4 teaspoon of ground ginger. So just going to shake that in. Okay. And now we're just going to start adding in our traditional carrot cake ingredients. So I have here 1 cup of grated carrots. I use a really fine grater, which I think is nice because it integrates really nicely into this recipe. So you're not getting huge shreds of carrot. I'm going to also add in 2 tablespoons of raisins. I'm also going to add in, let's see. I'm also going to add in a 1/4 cup of shredded coconut. I absolutely love coconut in my carrot cake. And then I'm also going to add in a 1/4 cup of pineapple pieces. And then, let's see, grab a spoon. Next up, I'm going to add in my walnuts. So I'm going to add in about 1 to 2 tablespoons of walnuts. Okay. And then finally, I'm going to add in my almond milk. So once again, for this recipe, because there are more fibrous ingredients in this one, it's going to take a little bit more liquid. So I'm going to add in a full 2 cups of almond milk. And like I mentioned before, all of the recipes that I'm creating today create 2 servings. So you'll be able to double this, half it, or meal prep in advance. And so you'll have 2 servings ready to go for, Tuesday and Wednesday, or Saturday and Sunday, or whatever your plans are. Or even breakfast and lunch if you like to eat oatmeal for any time of the day. So like I said, 2 cups, and this is a 1/4 cup measure. So I'm going to do this 8 times. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And then finally, at last, I'm going to hit this with about a tablespoon of agave nectar. This is completely optional, but add sweetness to your taste. So I'm using agave nectar in all of my recipes today, but you could definitely use something like maple syrup. I also really love coconut sugar because it kind of has a toasty, deeper flavor, and it's not as sweet as other sugars. So those would all be excellent complements. You could also use brown sugar. It's whatever you prefer. You don't have to get a fancy specialty sugar to make these recipes. And this smells like carrot cake already. It's pretty crazy. So we just mix all of that together until it's evenly combined. And there you have it. This is the mixture for your carrot cake overnight oats. Okay, so you could leave it at that. This is going to be really flavorful, really filling, really delicious on its own. But I decided, since this was carrot cake inspired, that I wanted to make a little bit of a cream cheese frosting inspired glaze. Once again, this is breakfast, so we want to keep it healthy. We don't want to have too much junk food going on. So what I have here is some non-dairy yogurt. Greek yogurt works great. Vegan Greek yogurt works really good. Coconut-based Greek yogurts are really delicious. Kite Hill also makes a really good, delicious Greek yogurt. But I was at my local superstore or supermarket, Safeway, and they had this non-dairy Chobani. So I'm going to use half of a container of this. And then I'm also going to add in, let's see, check my recipe. I'm also going to add in 1 tablespoon of the agave nectar. Well, this is closer to 2 teaspoons. And I'm also going to add in about a tablespoon of cashew butter for the richness. The cashew butter is obviously optional, but I think it gives it a really nice flavor. So I'd highly suggest it if you happen to have it around. All right, so I've added those 3 ingredients to this bowl. And now simply I'm going to grab another fork, and I'm just going to mix until well combined. And this is how we're creating our glaze. Super duper simple. It's also optional. You don't need it, but I think it adds a nice little hint of something special for these carrot cake oats. And I think that this is a unsweetened vanilla vegan yogurt, and so it really adds like a nice frosting, flavor to it. It has a really nice glaze smell. It's kind of making my mouth water a little bit. So here we go. It's well mixed now, and this is what you get for the glaze. Okay. So with that said, it's time for the after, right? I can show you what this looks like when it's all done. So let's clean up our space a little bit. And just like that, through the magic of a live broadcast, we have our overnight carrot cake oats. I'm going to bring them to you so you can see them up close. All right. Do you see the texture? There will also be photos, final photos, so you can see what it looks like when you get your follow-up email. But this is the carrot cake overnight oats. And so we're just going to serve these up once again. Okay. So, as I mentioned, this is 2 servings. Now, this is going to be a pretty hearty serving because it has the pineapple and the walnuts and the carrots and the shredded coconut in it. But it's full of fiber, full of flavor. It's filling, but this is not junk food. This is filling ingredients. These are nourishing ingredients. So, you don't have to really worry too much about the portion size. Obviously, we want to eat everything in moderation. And You can overeat anything. But, you know, this portion size is a little bit bigger because it has more high fiber fruits and veggies in it that are going to keep you satisfied throughout the morning and help you to have clear head and even energy to get you throughout the day. So here are our oats. And then I'm just going to add a little bit of the glaze on. Swirl it in really nice. Okay. And then I'm going to sprinkle just a little bit more cinnamon on top. Okay, and I'll give you the close-up. So here we go. These are our carrot cake overnight oats with a nice coconut and cashew butter glaze on top. So recipe 2 is done. We're moving through these pretty quickly, right? So for our final recipe, I'm going to show you how to make a creamy coconut tropical overnight oats. So once again, this recipe is super simple. I wanted to create some different plays on this dish that can appease any palate. You know, you could also go super simple and do something like chocolate or blueberry or strawberries and cream. You can go so many ways with this, but I just wanted to give you some interesting ideas that maybe you haven't seen before that you can incorporate to make your meal prep a little bit more interesting. Or even if you don't have a lot of time, you can make sure you have really delicious dishes that, you know, you have in your Rolodexes you can pull out without any thought or without any complication and know that you're going to be eating something that is not only good for you, but that you're really going to enjoy eating. So with that, let's get going. So I bet you can guess how many oats I'm going to use. I'm going to use a cup of oats. So I'm going to start with 1 cup of rolled oats, and I'm using a 1/3 cup measure, so that's 3 scoops. Okay, great. And then I'm going to go ahead and add in about, let's see, let's check our recipe. I'm going to add in 2 tablespoons of chia seeds to this. Excellent source of fiber, excellent source of healthy fats, great source of omegas. And then I'm going to go ahead and add in a 1/4 cup of our coconut milk. So this is full fat coconut milk. So this is going to give us some richness and some healthy fats, but we also still don't want to overdo it with the coconut milk, right? It is pretty high in fat by volume. So we want to incorporate the flavors that we like and get some of those good fats in, but we don't want to overdo it. So to balance that out, I'm going to use the remaining amount as 1 3/4 cup of coconut water. And yeah, you can use regular water as well. But I just like coconut water a lot, so I thought I'd go ahead and add it in. Okay, and then we're going to add a 1/4 cup of shredded coconut. So we have 3 sources of coconut in these creamy coconut oats. So you're really bringing home that flavor palette. So now I'm going to go ahead and just mix all of this together. This is kind of like a hybrid between overnight oats and chia pudding, which is really nice. So you get the best of both worlds. But the cool thing about these recipes too is that you can easily adjust them if you're not in the mood for overnight oats and make these chia pudding recipes instead of overnight oat recipes. So the options are endless. Okay, so we've got that mixed together. It's just that simple. So if you were making this at home for your meal prep, this is the point where you would want to go ahead and put this in your airtight container and seal it up, and you can store it in your refrigerator overnight to get it to the ideal consistency, but it'll last in your fridge for up to about 4 days. But I want to go ahead and plate this and show you what makes this a creamy tropical coconut oats, and that is because we're going to decorate it with some really delicious tropical fruits. So we have here our creamy coconut oats that have been setting up in the refrigerator overnight. and they have a really nice texture. Okay, so we've got that going. We're going to grab our serving bowl. Once again, this recipe makes 2 servings, but as always, feel free to adjust the measurements to make it whatever serving size you like it to be. So go ahead and serve up about half of this. Okay. And then we're going to decorate it with our fruit. So you can decorate this with any kind of fruit you like. I'm going with a tropical theme today, but you can add whatever you like. Mango would be really good on this. I would use it in this recipe, but I'm personally allergic to it. So I'm going to use some papaya and some banana. And then I'll probably garnish it with a little bit more of the coconut, just to bring the tropical flavors home. And so that you have, you know, the crunch from the dried coconut, but then you also have the nice creamy texture from the shredded coconut that's been soaking with the oats overnight. So I'm going to grab my cutting board here. Okay. Okay. So we've got a nice stripe of papaya here. And we're just going to slice that into our bowl. And then we're going to take about half of a banana and add some slices of banana to our bowl. Lovely. And then we're going to go ahead and add in some walnuts, just for crunch. And we're also going to add in a little bit, well, no, our coconut's all gone. So that's going to be how we end this one out. But you can customize any garnishes that you like. You can do some kiwi, you can do fresh berries, any flavors that you want to taste in the morning to complement these creamy, coconutty, super fiberful, flavorful oats. So let me give you the close-up. Lovely. And that concludes it. Okay. So today we have created 3 simple and delicious. So today we've created 3 simple and delicious vegan overnight oats recipes that you can use for your meal prep, and it's perfect any time of the day. So just to refresh your memory, we made some peanut butter oats with berry chia jam. Then we made these delicious carrot cake oats in the middle with a creamy and tangy glaze. And then finally, we have these creamy coconut oats with tropical fruit salad on the top. So these are 3 simple ideas that you can use to, get in some delicious flavors, some great fiber, some great nutrition in the morning that's going to keep you satisfied. But you don't have to sweat over the stove. But you also don't have to resort to eating, like fast food, like cereal for breakfast. You can have a really nourishing, hearty bowl. And it's also nice that it's cool because it's summertime and, you don't want to be overheated in the morning. So here we are with our breakfast ideas. I hope you enjoyed this cooking demo, and I look forward to seeing you again next week when we're going to be creating our noodles on the go, meal preps that feature vegan noodle dishes that you can pack up in a ramen jar and take with you to work. So I'll see you in the next one, and bon appetit.